Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today with our First Home IQ office hours. I am so excited. We have a special guest. Scott is an ambassador of First Home IQ. If you haven't met Scott already, I'm really excited to introduce you to Scott. But really, I'm going to just kind of cue you up, Scott, and then I'm going to let you take over. But really, what inspired the idea for today's office hours is 2 months ago, we had Tim Brahim come on, and he just had a really impactful mastermind about connecting with your database, building relationship, and really being the advisor to your clients who have children, high school, college age, advising them because, people don't know what they don't know. And so a lot of times we're finding that parents don't even know how to talk to their own kids about finances, let alone like coach them through the process. So Scott, being like the model student, watched that recording and then took it 20 steps further with scripts, videos, and just did a really awesome job. And he's had some conversations as a result of that with his database. So Scott and I connected after this, and I was like, we have to have you on and introduce you to our community. So Scott, I've known Scott for a couple years now, and really the fun part with me connecting with Scott is he has a platform called Lender Marketing Platform, which he's going to share with you guys today. And I first learned about it 4 years ago, I think, Scott. And I just as a marketer, I was like, this is brilliant because you're having to be the loan officer and the team leader and go out and build relationships with your realtors and do all of the things. And so marketing, I find, is often one of the last things to really be focused on because you're juggling so many things. So when I saw the platform that Scott has built literally from scratch, it brings in all of the pieces, the technology, the marketing, it's customer focused. So I won't steal all of your thunder, Scott, but as a marketer and as somebody that's really passionate about education in the mortgage space, I really can't rave about this enough. And Scott just found a way to bring in all of our First Home IQ materials. So if you're like a lot of our ambassadors are like, this is great, but I don't know how to use the resource and put them together, Scott's going to help demystify that and just go over what he's doing. So without further ado, Scott, I'm going to let you take it over. And just so you guys know, I want this to be really interactive. This really isn't for Scott and I to just be talking one way at you. Like, I want you to come off your microphone, raise your hand. Like, let's actually, pretend we're all in the same room and having conversations. So take it over, Scott.
Well, there you go. Well, that's exciting. So, thank you for the introduction. What's funny is I'll kind of like, and then we'll just, again, let's just be super casual. This is not a formal, like a demo, like Dave says, EduSale. It's just, I'm here to help. And it's really the timing of it. Because I've known Katie, she has mentioned, I know Dave really well. I know Kristen. I was literally in the van when First on My Queue was born. So I know the mission, I know the cause, I know the need for it. I haven't been as active as I should have been, just with obviously growing our platform. And really, it was kind of not, well, wasn't waiting for the time, but like Katie said, Tim's call triggered me to like, hey, here's where I could really help everybody out. My own community, and that's where Katie and Dave were on last 2 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago, right? I launched this into my community, introduced, because we have a lot of First Home IQ ambassadors in our community. So I wanted to introduce it in there first and kind of just do a dry run and invite Katie and Dave, like, what'd you think? So let me go back a little bit before I get going. Let me give a little bit of my background of my story. So I've been in the mortgage origination business for 24 years. I met Dave, funny story, back as the market was collapsing in '07, and I was helping my loan officers. They were looking at me like, Scott, what do we do? And so, hey, we're going to break out an old strategy called the seller buy down. And we were doing publisher files in Excel, and it took me 25 minutes to run the numbers and chow another 15, 20 minutes. So 40 minutes just to put a marketing flyer together. That was, that's '07. So that's pre-internet, pre-technology and all that stuff. And then Dave got hold of one of them, and now That's where we connected. And Dave, we were doing WebExes and teaching our industry. And my code still lives in Mortgage Coach today, the buy down code. So that's where we're connected. We've always been connected that way. And so in 2019, I started this company called Lender Marketing Platform out of the frustration of like, we got these great tech and tool stack, right? We have Mortgage Coach, we have Loom and BombBomb and like an unbelievable marketing department that Katie was running over at Guild. But how do I get all these assets working together and collaborating? But also, how do I get these assets that I would be packaging? How do I get them into locations I've never been able to get before? And I'll give you a perfect example. Is how many use Mortgage Coach by chance? You know, Mortgage Coach users? Yeah. How are you frustrated of trying to get a TCA on a listing today to help a listing agent to do marketing a seller buy down? Would that be a good thing for you right now and your listing agents?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things I did on the platform is how do we get like a great tool like Mortgage Coach incorporated and help a seller, educate about financing and affordability. And that was just, that's a basic premise of us. And so now fast forward. So now I know Tim mutually through baseball and through golf, right? Those are our two passions. He's a Dodger fan, I'm a Padre fan. Um, so we became friends a few years back, and then obviously I always watch what he does. I'm a big fan of him. He ran that Zoom with Dave and Kristen. I'm like, wow, I love this. Like, guys, why are we not attacking our databases and our families, right? And all the opportunities there. So I really kind of that was my cue to say, Scott, now's your time. You need to lean in, you need to help our industry, introduce the tool, because when I show it to you, you're gonna go, ah, man, this is the unification, this is the connector I've been missing into getting into the database and bring all the great resources that First Home IQ and Katie does together, and then some. So I watched it, I put it together, and I kind of thought of a two-step plan. I'm going to show it to you guys. I'm going to show you a quick deck just to kind of go over all this. So I thought of like a great two-step plan. So step one was let's just put a one-to-many presentation together. And it's your story. It's you as an LO. It's your story, your mission, your belief, just something simple, and then package it with the materials you need. For an example, your First Home IQ quiz, a Calendly to your appointment so you can meet the family, right? So after they take the quiz, you can do an assessment and then you sit down with the family. And then ultimately, once you met with the family, you can create that game plan. And then you issue, really, I call step two, is that financial dashboard for the family. It has their goals, their numbers, their action plan. So that's really what it is. And so is it okay if I share my screen, Katie, and just kind of go over just a quick deck? And then we'll just kind of open it up and goof around and play a little bit. Is that cool? And I'm going to go and share my screen. You guys see my screen okay? Okay, so Katie, this is going to be just, you've seen this. This is
Yes.
kind of a condensed, version of it. I tweaked it just a bit of what you and I went over in our community. And so I thought of the title as like, what a great title of, reach and teach, reaching out to your database in order to teach them financial literacy and homeownership. And so really there's 5 elements to it. One is I'm going to help you connect so you can be an educator. And when you're in that position, gathering the great assets that you have at your disposal. And then, but lastly, that fourth is that big piece of think of we're building something now, our Thanksgiving dinner, so to speak, and I'm bringing all the ingredients for you, right? And so if you pull one out, it's going to mess up that, Thanksgiving dinner, so to speak. So that platform, that fourth element is what's going to bring everything together. And then lastly, and this is how I run or how I teach, so to speak. I'm married to an educator. So I want to make sure that you have all the tools and resources that I educate you on how to put all this together. And so I'm going to show you some of that now. And this is kind of the visual of what I kind of was dreamt of how do I get all these great assets like the First Home IQ YouTube channel, the entire First Home platform, Mortgage Coach? I've used Mortgage Coach pretty much my entire career. Canva, for an example, you with the LO, and then that last piece of the puzzle is LMP. And then putting that all together is that unification of all of the assets. And really, if you think about it, it really multiplies the power of your presentations. Think of it as this, and we were talking the other day, is think of the Avengers, right? Think if I were to pull them apart individually, there's great strengths, but their power is unified or multiplied because there's a group of them doing it. And that's exactly what it is. So if I pull Mortgage Coach by itself, it's good, but it's not, there's has to be context in when I deliver that. And so they could see the numbers of what do I need to save to get into a down payment? How credit's really going to impact me if I don't care about it and I start to miss some van shoe payments, growing up, and now it's going to impact the FICO score, which impacts the interest rate, and so on and so forth. And then, so kind of breaking it down is goal number one, like I said, is let's reach and connect. And I'm going to help you with that. Reach and connect into our database. And that's Tim. That's the essence of Tim's call right there. And then next is once we get there, I'm going to help you kind of with that platform of gathering those assets to be that teacher, to be that educator to your families in that database. And it doesn't have to be database. That's one, but then you can actually take this out and move out to the high schools, move out to the colleges. You could still teach on the same platform. So we're just going to start with database today, and with Tim. And then we can get all those assets, and we're going to go over some of those today, and we're going to have fun just playing around and ideas and all that. And there is no wrong or right. It's, Scott, I believe this. This is the demographics or my customers I serve and the loan products. I bring it in, right? And Katie has developed my marketing, background with this. Great, bring it in. So just it's the gathering of the assets, and then here's the platform. And this is where I could really help. And this is kind of was my calling to really push this. Sparred by Tim. I'm going in, taught my group. And then now I'm here, because as Katie has invited me in, I am ambassador and I want to give to our industry and our young buyers. And then lastly, here's the steps. And I'm going to start sharing and showing now. And so step one, this is actually, before I jump into it, how are you guys feeling so far? Am I getting too much? Do I need to pump on the brakes a little bit? Any questions so far? How you guys feeling? Do you see the vision? Right? Okay, I got thumbs up. I like thumbs up. Okay, that's good. So, and Katie, interrupt too. Like, hey, Scott, I got a question, or I want to bring a point, or want to highlight something.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to I could put this on your phone if you want. I made it interactive. So if you pulled your phone out, you can actually put this on your phone if you wish, and you could steal it for later and view it. So as Katie's doing, I'm seeing her with her phone out. Just open your camera. There you go. If you rest that on that QR code, I'll pop that link on your phone and you can have it for later. So you can watch that. Just only rule of thumb is I don't want to see head down watching this for 30 minutes. You can watch it later. So I'm going to open it up and we're going to look at it. So this is really step one. And what I mean by step one is this is what I'm going to be delivering as the initial presentation into the database. That makes sense? This is one to many. I haven't identified, I'm going to put somebody on mute, or I think it's Julie. Yeah, there you go. So this is the initial one. And I'm going to show you just a little bit of what this is and how it's set up. So this video I did is one to many. This is not specific to a client. It's really my story, my background, and how I got into housing, made a bunch of mistakes, way before information, the internet, all that stuff, and how I could help them and why I want to help them, right? So you guys can watch it later. I was young. I was starting into my. So just kind of tell them my little story, but also how I want to help them, right? Sorry, I can't look at myself with my hands like that. So, and how I want to help them. And I broke it into 3 steps. So, step one, I want them to take the quiz. And so I'm going to push the quiz that way to them. So now they can come in here and start taking the quiz. The reason and you guys know this, I want them to take the quiz to figure out where they're at, what they know, where's the strengths, where's the weaknesses. And then once we diagnose that, we go to step two. And step two is creating the plan. And that's the family meeting. That could be a Calendly link you can put there. That could be your Zoom link if you have one link for all. So you can put whatever you want in that position. And then the families can book a call with you, let's say at 5 o'clock, and you got mom and dad and grandpa and grandma and and the young daughter who's going into college. And I'm going to tell you a story in just a second. I just remembered, Katie. This is my old age kicking in. I always forget the stories. And let me get to step three, though. So think of step one. Let's get them into the quiz and assess where they're at, strengths and weaknesses. Then let's push them into the plan. In creating that plan, and this, let me pause for a second. This is what Tim was driving home in that call. Like, guys, you got the quiz, that's great, but you need to get them into a meeting. I'm going to show you videos actually was just shared with me this morning from Katie. So have to get them in that plan, and you can assess it, figure out a game plan, talk through it. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. And then once you meet, step three is you issue them their custom financial dashboard. And this is the second step here, the second presentation. Now, this is custom. This is to the family. This is what they want to achieve. This is what they need to work on. And so when they welcome home. So this is your financial dashboard. So this is yours. Bookmark it, save it. It'll be yours for life. So this is how we're going to move forward in our journey together. And so down below, I've loaded all the personal assets. So you've gone through the first two initial steps. You took your quiz. We figured out a game plan. You're learning credit. You're establishing a budget. You understand DTI and how that impacted you there. And so now we've had that initial. So now what I can do is load in what, I can now present to them specifically. I can load that TCA in and with their numbers. Then we can go over specifically what that's going to look like. Different type of loan products, the different down payments they want to do. Mom and dad are going to gift now. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to tell you a story that was spurred by this. As I was watching Tim, I send out a refi dashboard to my clients, and I don't originate much anymore. I'm in the fourth quarter with 15 seconds left. I'm kneeling down for obvious reasons. I'm ending that career and obviously full throttle into my other career. So, but I still connect with some of my clients, and I started to have a conversation with Joe Maloney. And so we started to talk, and we figuring out, because I did a temporary refi a couple years back, and I'm monitoring the markets for him. We got to talk about his kids. So I'll fast forward the story. Both kids, and I've never had this conversation before. It's just always been about mom and dad because I did their loan. And so we started to talk about the kids. Heck, I didn't know. The daughter's a sophomore in college, and the son is graduating high school, going to be a freshman. And then I go, Joe, let's talk about, like housing. Like, well, what do you mean? He goes, did you realize we can come in and buy a house for each kid and do like an FHA loan at 3.5 down and get primary financing or a conforming loan and then use rents? I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine, his son goes to TCU, they're in a duplex. Cameron's paying $1,200 a month, and there's 10 kids in there. There's 10 boys. That's 12,000. The owner of the duplex is charging these families. He goes, oh, I never thought of that. And so what do you think after I hung up? I had all the detail, I have all the specs, right? I presented and we went into loan application, and now we're looking for 2 homes. One to put his daughter in, one to put his son in. There's how you start the journey, right? In those conversations with that. And I'll pull that up. I'll pull that exact presentation, how I use my own software to present to a client. So there's an example of that. That also, and Katie's like, Scott, why are you not telling that story, right? This should be one of your stories here. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I did tell the story. So when you go watch my mission statement in the first video, the one to many, I do tell that little story because it just happened. So as I was recording it, I did do a little bit of a peek into that. So let me pause for a second. How are you guys feeling so far? Overwhelmed, excited, a path forward, opportunities? What are you guys thinking?
Julie, did you have something? You were just saying something.
No, I just want to be able to put all my stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
that's what I
go.
love about this is it's packaging it together. But Scott, what I love about what you're saying is just like, each one of us on this call know a Joe Maloney, or we know somebody that has a high school or a college student at home, or maybe you guys you're in that situation yourselves. And so, even if you don't have a specific story like that, I would and challenge you, go borrow Scott's story. Say, hey,
Oh,
a
take it.
friend of
Sure.
mine had this, and this, right? So like, even if it wasn't your exact story, go borrow his. I mean, one of the story that I'm really proud of is my niece is 16 and she was wanting, she'd been saving up to buy a nice car. Um, and my sister was like, well, hey, you could buy a nice car, or we could help you get into a duplex. They got it was a single family property, but and if it's or cash flow positive, then the extra can help cover your car payment. So at 16, of course, my sister had to like carry the loan for her and they'll transfer it when she's 18. But at 16, they helped my niece get her first property. They're teaching her how to manage the Airbnb side of it and all of that. And that is actually covering her car payment. So it's like, these are unconventional methods. I think of how our parents or my parents used to think of home ownership was you buy a home, you stay in it for 30 years. And that's not the model today. So if we think outside of the box, like the Joe Maloney's, your kid's going to college or my niece wants a car, this is like transforming, and now you're building generational wealth. So I love it, Scott. Let's keep.
Okay. So here's actually Joe Maloney's. So actually just found it. So this is exactly, pardon the bank logo. So forget that, right? Pretend it's not there. I get uncomfortable. Like, Scott, you're LMP, you're not a bank. So this is what I send out to my client. I use my own software for it. I'll zoom out just a little bit. And I do it on Mortgage Coach, right? I put it in
Joe,
first
hey
position.
Scott, hey, good morning. So here are those numbers. So what I did just to kind of get us, so
We'll
I
not
just
get into his
same
personal stuff,
transaction, same
right?
down.
So I just laid it all out. Here's, you can buy it as a rental, here's this, and here's different ways to buy it. And obviously what he was very attracted to, here's 5%. We can buy the rate down because it's a primary, there's lots of things you can do in this market now. So immediately I popped in the TCA. If we wanted to get into the details, I brought in my two production partners. So they saw the video. Both of them saw the video. I'm speaking to Joe and presenting to the family. Next step. So that's how I present to a client in a one-to-one when we're ready to go. That's what pulled him in. So I had a conversation. Love it, Scott. And then this is what I present to him. So I just kind of went a little sidebar on you guys. But let me back up a little bit. I'm going to back up into the first big presentation, the one-to-many. And I showed you the 3 steps. Quiz, right? Let's take a quiz. Let's meet and create a game plan. That could be your Calendly link. You can have all your 4 o'clocks, right? When everyone's off of work or whatever it's going to be. Ever you guys want to set your calendars up. And then once you've met, then you issue the personalized dashboard. What I didn't show you was all the different little modules I took from Katie. Like, whoa, look at all the assets we have here. I'll give you an example. Let's learn about credit. So this sits in their one-to-many. And so when they click on it, it's a full presentation about credit.
Credit. Probably the number one deterrent that I see from my perspective as a lender is how credit can really impact.
So we talk about credit and how don't ignore, right? Just racking up all the student loans and just screw it, I'm not going to pay it, or running out to the Vans shoe store and getting a new pair of Vans and just say I'm not going to pay it, or whatever it may be. And what I did was, so I framed the message right there. I showed them the actual numbers and how credit can impact. This is for both the family and whatever the young aspiring homeowner. So there's a dream home. Here's how impact's going to, or credit's going to impact rate. And you guys know this stuff, right? So again, we're teaching, we're using the tools. And then I get to bring in all the great YouTube videos. So now I can bring these YouTubes in, right? They're just framed
Credit
right
cards
there.
can be a great way to build
And
your
so
credit and
think
even
about
get
what
some
I just did right there.
but they can also completely
Oops.
ruin your life.
Got all my
So we're going to
screens
walk through the
open.
base.
So what I have done is now I can be the leader here, the advisor, the authority figure, frame everything, set everything up on each module. So I can do credit, down payment, and DTI. So there's my little video on credit, which pushes them into how credit impacts rates and payments and cash to close. And then I can bring all my FirstHome IQ assets, and then I can do that in multiple situations. And literally all I do is I duplicate credit, I rename it for down payment, I chat GPT up just a little something real quick, right? Copy it. I always tell my members at LMP, please don't spend time, just copy paste my stuff, right? Copy paste, stick it in there, right? Grab the great videos from YouTube, turn on your little camera and record a 30-second, this one's 3 minutes. Turn on a little 2-minute,
Down
1 minute
payment.
video.
As you probably understand, this is a really big important or component of homeownership. And I think it starts now. And for a couple.
So now we're creating budgets, right? Everyone thinks you got to save 20 down, and showing them all the differences and how you can offset without waiting for 20% and a down payment. And so here's the mortgage coach explaining the down payments, right? And how we can get there, and so on and so forth. And then here's the
Hey,
down payment videos. Go ahead.
Scott, I have a question. Okay, so go back. I think it was where you had all of the things like the credit, the down payment.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. So in here, so this almost looks like a resource library for your client where they have like multiple scenarios, which is amazing if you wanted to blast that out. But could you do it where if you said, okay, so part of my marketing strategy is I want to have something to say to my database once a month. So this month, I'm just going to blast about credit. Next month, I'm going to build upon that. Now we're going to talk about debt to income. And then the next month, down payment assistance. So you're taking them on this collective journey, so to speak, of like, let's talk high level, okay, so you could do a different framework every single month.
So I just put the credit link in chat. So I'll give these to you, but the point is, imagine you were my database. So that's a single sole presentation. So let me just articulate. That's a great point. So I don't want to overwhelm anybody, right? Let's just start with credit. So here's my big mission, right? I want to educate. My goal, that would be your first steps. That would be the first video I personally would put together. And then you can drip to them. Drip the credit, drip the down, drip the income. Because not everyone's going to be rushing to sign up on your Calendly and your Zoom. And like, okay, we got through the holidays. Let's meet. Okay, it's January 5th. Christmas is away. Let's go ahead and figure all this stuff out. Now's the time. Because now you're dripping on them. They realize, oh, we need to meet. We need to figure this thing out now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So if you position that, hey, one of my goals, as a loan officer, a mortgage advisor, and a FirstHome IQ ambassador is I really believe in education, and I want people to make confident decisions with their money. So I'm going to be doing a series over the next however many months, once a month, sending you an email. The first thing is credit. If you don't have a high schooler in your home, do you have a niece, a nephew, like a neighbor, a babysitter? Who do you know that you can share this resource or this family with? I think that would be some, really, then, to me, you're not selling yourself as just a rate lender. You're opening the door with value. You're there to serve. And I think that's the difference that makes people's, authenticity and expertise shine through. The second thing I would note, Scott, is if I'm understanding this correctly, once you build this, like if you build out those different frameworks for the credit, the debt to income, you can pull those in for other clients. So if you're talking to another client who maybe is a very mature buyer, but you're like, oh, this one module would actually work, you're not having to individually build this every single time, right? You can almost like duplicate.
Yeah. So I'll show you in the back end. So they're right here. See this? These
Got
are
it. Yep.
individual presentations. So I could come over here, like the debt to income. I can come over here and just grab the whole URL. That's a whole site for that one domain.
For that scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I can add that to Joe Maloney's, for example, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted something different, or I'm speaking something totally different on another client. It says, hey, that's a great, that's a, credit. Let's just say I'm dealing with mom and dad and there's a credit issue from the holidays, maybe got in some issues. I could bring that single piece in just for that. We're not talking about first home buyership and financial literacy. I'm dealing with mom and dad and just straight credit, right? Just helping them with credit. So I can add those pieces as I see fit. That's just a spice in my cabinet drawer. When that recipe calls for it, pulling that puppy out, and there we go. We're gonna add some cinnamon in there. I don't know why.
So let's pause here for just a second. And for those that are on the call, I would love to hear from you. Like, do you guys have, like, right now, what are you doing to start the conversation with your clients? Like introducing the quiz. Like, are you how are you introducing the quiz, and what does that introductory point look like for you guys? Anybody want to share? Or maybe we're not using the quiz too, and that's a great starting point because this is a great tool. Lynette.
So, hi Scott. So I'm Lynette in Omaha. So I'm an LMP user, you guys, and if you haven't looked at this platform, it's amazing. I use it every day in my business. And here's one of the nice things about hopping on these calls, and those that are ambassadors and don't are missing out. And I'll tell you why, because I use LMP and on a regular basis, and I learned something today that I'm like, okay, Katie, I'm going to implement what Scott just said with what you and I talked about the last time no one was on a call and we were strategizing, because here's what I see. You'll have like let's call it a 6-month campaign, right, Scott? So I'm going to do, my first campaign is going to be an entire presentation and it's credit. Campaign number 2, I'm going to build on that. I'm still going to have campaign number 1 that's only credit, because you can roll out each 6-month campaign with different audiences. So now number 2 is credit plus budgeting. Number 3. And so what's nice about LMP is he calls them spices. I'm going to tell you, like you said, Katie, it's a library of resources that someone goes to your general site and they can pick and choose what they want to dive into, or you can customize that platform or that financial dashboard, if you will. So I think that the opportunity that I've missed in the past is exactly what you said, Scott, is when I send out an email, to answer your question, Katie. So when I have a new opportunity, I send out an email that says, here are your next steps. And oh, by the way, if you want to learn about Team Aerosmith, here's the link. It goes to my Learn About Us LMP. I didn't even think to add the quiz to that. Hello. So thank you. So I will now add that. So that's going to be one way to get FirstHome IQ and the quiz in front of the audience sooner than later, just by making it available and telling them that would be a great next step.
Yep.
I love that. And here's the other thing too, just, as a marketer, we're always thinking like, how can you leverage content? How can you get the most miles out of a single piece of content? So if you're doing, I think if you're recording one long form piece of video, how can you break that up into a couple reels for Instagram or an email campaign or a text or whatever? So this is the exact same concept, you guys. Like if you're creating one of these videos for credit and then, going through those layers, this now becomes evergreen content because the concepts of credit are not going to change in a month. It's not like guidelines that you're chasing or rates that are fluctuating. Some of these very rudimentary concepts that we're talking about, they're easy for you, but they're not easy for the audience that we're serving. So now you can spend, if you build this into your once a month, I'm going to, spend an hour on my marketing. This now can really become your marketing engine because it's education, it's a marketing, it's, expertise. You're showcasing all of that. And now you're getting, it could be another year or two before you have to re-record the video. So
Yep.
those are some of the things that I like, is just how do you work smarter? You're using technology, it touches on branding, it's education. And at the foundation of it is we're taking all of the resources from FirstHome IQ. We've done a lot of those teaching videos. So you don't even have to do the heavy work there. You can just plug those into your presentation, but you're getting all of the credit as you're the educator.
Yep. Love it. Now, what's funny, Katie, and I'm going to go back and share the screen. Go ahead, Lynette. I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So did you take, I'm assuming you took each of those YouTube videos from our FirstHome IQ tools and you just made it a resource. You just added it as a resource and rolled it in. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'll go one step further. So I'll go a little bit deeper than that. It's not just me adding their video, it's me creating a whole presentation on credit, right? So I wanted to show the TCA of like showing the impacts, right? Like, hey, screw around with your credit. I mean, you guys know this, right? And I want them to see like, okay, you're right, Scott. I better pay attention, right? I better pay all that stuff, or whatever it may be, right? And then down payment, because down payment, you would be a disservice just to show the one video of the young woman speaking, which I think she does a phenomenal job, right? You know what I'm talking about? The woman recording on the down payment. But think of this for the originators here. I mean, think about showing, well, I have a down payment assistance. I have a 97 conventional. Heck, I could do a buy down on a 95 and get payment and do 15 down with a single premium buyout with a rate buy down and beat probably a 20% mortgage, right? Down payment on an 80 LTV, 20 down mortgage. You could be so creative. You cannot show that by sending out a YouTube, but I could show that. I'll frame it correctly with me in the video. I'll bring in a TCA and show them the different examples and be creative with that, right? And then show them the YouTube videos on down payment, for an example. So that's why I put it in a whole presentation, Lynette, is I wanted to expand on, not just be one dimensional. If that makes sense. So I'm going to show you a couple more things because I have a couple surprises for you guys. All right, so let me show you a video that I got this morning. This is the perfect example. So this, right? What do you think of this? We all know who this is. I mean, she's a rock star, but watch her message. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
Someone you love needs to hear this today. I was getting my nails done yesterday and Morgan was 23 years old. And I said, how many days a week are you working right now? And she said, all of them. I said, 7 days a week. What are you saving up for? Why are you working so much? And she said, I want to buy a house. My sister and I want to buy a house.
What is this, guys? This is her mission statement to her database, right? Well, look what I did. Look how easy this is to go into LMP. I copied mine, right? I put her video in for mine. So I just replaced the videos. There she is.
Needs to hear this today. I was getting my nails done yesterday.
So that's how easy it is for an LO to create a mission video statement. And then she's got her score. There's her plan, right? There's her stuff ready to go. And so think about that right there. But let me pause for a second, make sure I connect the dots, as Dave says. This by itself, it resonates to a consumer, your clients, and so on and so forth. But can it easily be shared? It can be, but what's the context of it? How do I get hold of her? Who is she, right? What are my steps, right? Guide me through this, right? But now all I'm doing is it goes back to the deck I showed you. It's the unification of the assets. So now all of a sudden I pop it here. It's a whole different context of what she's sending out to the database. Now she's front and center. It's got all of her stuff up here. It's got her 3 steps: quiz, meet, your plan, let's execute. Here's some additional assets and resources we can do. And you guys can set it up as you see fit, but that's a perfect example of this is what I wanted to help. Like, this is our industry, right? It's like a short reel video, right? Then, okay, then what do I do with it? How do I get all my tools together? And that's the goal, which is I'm going to lead you to a little surprise I've built for you is this. So I'll share it in chat. So I'll open it first just to give it to you. So me being the educator, married to one educator background, I want to help you guys. And so I put this together for you guys, and it's really just a step-by-step guide for you to bring all this together. So this is me. I did the recording so you don't need to watch this. You personally know it is. So this is me sending it to my group, and I'm sharing it with you guys to help you. That's the Zoom recording Katie, Dave, and I did, right? So you have context. I put these little steps together, these little micro steps together. It's how you can put yours together yourself. So it's gathering. If you click on the first one, this is a presentation of just gathering all the assets.
Okay, step one. So this is kind of what I did in this presentation is to put all the different assets together. So I have all of them in here for you.
So it's all organized, it's gathered, everything you need, and you go above and beyond what I've already provided you. There's your quizzes, there's your YouTube channel. Here are the TCAs I use throughout the process. You can copy these. And a lot of people always like my TCAs, like, hey, I like to see how you put those together. And without the TCA, it's hard to see how I put them together. So now you can literally click into them. You can get into the back end of them and see how they're structured, how I framed them. So I put all these, I went to the grocery store and I bought all the ingredients and I loaded it right here in this presentation for you guys.
Hey, Scott, really quick. Sorry not to interrupt. I just realized that we scheduled this call for 45 minutes and I think it's going to auto kick us off in 1 minute.
Oh, here. I'm going to go ahead and
I'm so sorry, but we will follow. Anything that I just want to make sure you have I'm so sorry. That's my bad for doing that.
No, what I'll do, but I'll be more active in the community and I'll help. So I'm going to leave with this and then we'll do some follow-up trainings with you guys. Plus, I'll make an official announcement through Katie. We're going to help you, those who are non-members, to help become members. And I believe in this mission. I'm going to kick in the first month for free just to get you up and going. Actually take that back. It's for $1. So I have all the coupon codes and all that fun stuff just to get you guys going. So I appreciate the time. I know they're going to kick us. Katie, I appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm going to post this. I'm going to post the recording in Circle, and then we're going to post all of the follow-up links that Scott's sharing in Circle as well. And then we can do another office hours for this, or any of the ambassadors on the call. If you guys have specific questions, Scott is in our community. Scott, can you link your email really quick or your best contact in the chat?
Yeah.
And then you guys can always connect with me as well, and we can follow up.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry if this kicks us off. I just got to notice that we have another minute left. So.
Yeah, I'll just do this one real quick. I feel like I'm in double or like a Mission Impossible. The timer's down to 30 seconds. The bomb's gonna go off. So there you go. There's my email.
Open the safe.
Cut the blue wire.
Exactly. I cut the orange. All right. See you guys. Katie, I appreciate the opportunity of bringing me in and collaborating in the future. Thank you all.
Okay.